That stand mixer on your counter? Open it up. Inside, where solid steel gears used to spin for 40 years without breaking, you will now find cheap plastic. KitchenAid quietly made the switch, and nobody told the customer. Factories moved overseas. Quality dropped. Prices climbed higher every single year. Your grandmother's mixer outlived her marriage. Yours might not survive 3 Thanksgivings. The company is banking on one thing: that loyal buyers like you never check what is really inside the machine. Today, we crack it open. Before we start, drop a comment. Which country are you tuning in from? We crack it open. And what falls out is not engineering, it is a confession. Nylon. Cheap, molded, hollow nylon, where a solid steel worm gear used to live. That single part is the reason your mixer dies after 5 years instead of 50. But before we go deeper into the machine, you need to remember one number. Hold on to that year. Everything changes after 1986. For most of the 20th century, KitchenAid was built by a company called Hobart Manufacturing in Troy, Ohio. Hobart made commercial mixers, the kind that mixed bread dough in army kitchens during World War II. When they decided to build a home version, they did not cut corners. They shrunk the commercial machine and put it in your kitchen. Cast iron body, all metal gearbox. A motor strong enough to knead dough for a small bakery. That mixer was not a product. It was a promise. Then 1986 hit. Whirlpool bought the KitchenAid brand for around $150 million. And here is where the math changes. Whirlpool did not buy a factory. They bought a name. They bought your grandmother's trust. They bought the reputation Hobart spent 60 years earning. Within a decade, manufacturing shifted, suppliers changed, and the original engineering team was scattered. The shape stayed the same. The color stayed the same. The smiling marketing stayed the same. Almost everything else got quietly downgraded. This is the pattern. Buy the legacy. Sell the illusion. Pocket the difference. Now look at what they actually changed. The worm gear, once machined from hardened bronze or solid steel, became nylon. The motor housing got thinner. Internal wiring shrunk. Some models even swapped metal mixing arms for plastic reinforced ones. A mixer that used to weigh 28 pounds now weighs 22. That missing 6 pounds is not air. It is the steel they removed from the product you paid premium prices for. And the prices? They went up. Not down, up. A 1985 KitchenAid Artisan Class mixer cost about $240. Adjusted for inflation, that is around $700 today. So logic says a modern artisan should cost $700 and contain the same guts. Instead, it sells for $450 and contains a fraction of the metal. They did not pass the savings to you. They pocketed the gap and called it innovation. Here is the coolest part. Every single buyer assumes they are getting the same machine their mother had. Same logo, same silhouette, same lifetime promise floating in the back of their mind. KitchenAid never corrects that assumption. They sell the memory, not the product. It is not a mixer anymore. It is a costume. And the worst part is not even the plastic. The worst part is what hides behind one specific model number. A number KitchenAid hopes you forget exists. Because once you know it, you can never look at the modern lineup the same way again. That number is where the story gets darker. And someone tried to warn us about it years ago. His name was Robert. He worked the Greenville assembly line for 31 years. Robert was not an engineer. He was not an executive. He was the guy who tightened the bolts, ran the quality checks, and stamped the metal plates on the bottom of every machine that rolled out. He started in 1978. He retired in 2009. And somewhere between those two dates, his job became unrecognizable. Stop. Forget the corporate timeline for a second. Picture this man. A father of 3. A union worker. Someone who took his daughter to the factory floor one Saturday in 1991 and showed her the mixer she would one day inherit. He pointed at the gearbox and said, "This thing will outlast me." He was right about the mixer. He was wrong about the company. Around 2002, things shifted. Robert noticed new parts arriving in different boxes, lighter, shinier, foreign stamped. The bronze gears he used to hold in his hand got replaced with a beige polymer that felt like a children's toy. He asked his supervisor about it. The answer came back in 3 words: cost engineering decisions. That phrase haunted him. Cost engineering is corporate code for one thing: figuring out how cheaply you can build something before customers notice. And the genius of the strategy? Customers never notice until the warranty runs out. Robert watched it happen in real time. Pallets of solid metal worm gear stopped showing up around 2003. By 2005, the new nylon version had fully replaced them on most consumer models. Workers who complained were quietly moved to other lines. The ones who stayed quiet kept their pensions. Here is the specificity bomb. The model number you need to remember is the K45SS, the original classic, built like a tank through the late 90s. Quietly gutted by 2006. If you find one made before 2002 at a garage sale for under $80, grab it. Single machine will outlive every $500 mixer sitting on a shelf at Williams-Sonoma today. If you are still watching this far in, you already know something is wrong. You have felt it. Maybe your own mixer died last Christmas. Maybe the handle on your $300 toaster snapped. Maybe a lifetime warranty turned into a fight with customer service over a $40 replacement part. You were not crazy. You were not unlucky. You were the target. Robert tried to talk about it after he retired. He posted on forums. He wrote letters. He showed up in one local newspaper article in 2011, a tiny piece nobody outside Ohio ever read. He passed away in 2017. His warning never reached the people who needed it. Until now. Because what Robert saw on the assembly line was only half the story. The other half lives in the teardown, the actual side-by-side comparison between a 1985 KitchenAid and a 2024 KitchenAid. And what that teardown reveals is not just disappointing. It is almost criminal. Two mixers sit on a workbench. One was built in 1985. The other was bought new last month. Same brand, same model line, same iconic shape that made KitchenAid famous. From the outside, you could not tell them apart if your life depended on it. Now, flip them over. The 1985 machine weighs 28 pounds. The 2024 version weighs 22. Pop the top housing off both. The old one reveals a gearbox packed with hardened steel bronze worm gear, cast metal pinion, machined housing. The new one? A plastic shell holding nylon parts that look like they came out of a toy claw machine. Here is the contrarian truth nobody wants to say out loud. A $60 used KitchenAid from a 1985 garage sale is mechanically better than the $500 one selling on Amazon today. Read that again. $60 beats $500. 40 years old beats brand new. The math is brutal, and it is real. Run the numbers. The vintage motor pulls 325 watts of true power measured at the shaft, not the marketing brochure. Modern equivalents often claim 325 watts too, but independent teardown channels on YouTube have measured the actual output closer to 180 under load. That is the magic of modern spec sheets. They quote peak draw, not sustained torque. You are being sold a number, not a machine. Warranty data tells the same story. A 1985 Hobart-era mixer came with no formal lifetime guarantee, because it did not need one. The thing simply would not break. Tay's limited warranty. 1 year. Read the fine print, and you will find motor failure, gear stripping, and normal wear all conveniently excluded. Remember the $3 billion number Whirlpool earns yearly from small appliance sales. That fortune is not built on engineering. It is built on replacement cycles. A machine that dies after 7 years sells twice in 14. A machine that lasts 40 does not. Reddit is Wi-Fi for Life community has been screaming this for a decade. Search vintage KitchenAid, and you will find thousands of posts, restoration guides, eBay listings, side-by-side teardowns, even repair tutorials from retired Hobart technicians. The consensus is unanimous. Pre-2000 models are gold. Post-2005 models are landfill. So what should a smart buyer actually do? Hunt the used market. Estate sales. Facebook Marketplace. Goodwill backrooms. Look for the K45SS, the K5SS, or the early artisan with metal gears. Most need nothing more than a Ford grocery pack and a new power cord. 40 hours of restoration work returns a lifetime of service. $60. One afternoon. Done. You are not buying nostalgia. You are buying engineering that corporations stop building because honesty does not scale. And here is the part that should make every reader furious. KitchenAid is not the only brand running this exact playbook. The strategy has a name. It has a history. And once you see the pattern, you will spot it in every aisle of every kitchen store in America. The strategy has a name. Brand asset stripping. And once you learn the term, you will see it everywhere. It works like this. A heritage company, usually American, usually family-owned, usually beloved, spends decades building a reputation for quality. Then a holding company buys them. Manufacturing gets offshored. Materials get downgraded. The logo stays. The trust stays. The product becomes a hollow shell of what it used to be. Customers keep buying out of habit. Profits soar. Quality dies. KitchenAid is not the villain. KitchenAid is just chapter 1. Look at Pyrex. For 80 years, that name meant one thing: borosilicate glass that could handle a 450-degree oven, ice water, and a clumsy elbow without shattering. Real Pyrex was bulletproof. Then in 1998, World Kitchen bought the US rights and quietly switched the formula to soda-lined glass. Same logo, same shape, cheaper material. Today's Pyrex bowls explode in ovens. Lawsuits piled up. The original European version, still made from borosilicate, still labeled Pyrex in all caps. The American version uses lowercase Pyrex. That tiny lettering change is the only warning you get. One letter. That is the difference between glass that holds and glass that shatters in your face. Beerware tells the same story. Copper-bottomed cookware that defined American kitchens from the 1930s through the 1980s. Real copper, real stainless steel, riveted handles built to last generations. Then the brand bounced between 5 corporate owners across 2 decades. Today's Beerware is a thin, hollow imitation sold at discount stores with copper-colored paint instead of actual copper plating. Same name on the box. Almost nothing of the original product inside. Sunbeam, Mr. Coffee, Hamilton Beach, Black & Decker small appliances, Farberware, Corningware. Every single one followed the same playbook. Bought, stripped, sold, repeat. This is the pattern. Heritage brands die quietly because dying loudly would hurt sales. Here is the system enemy in plain language. Private equity firms and multinational holding companies do not build products. They harvest reputations. A 60-year-old brand name is worth more than any factory because trust takes generations to earn and seconds to exploit. Buy the trust. Squeeze the margin. Ride the name until customers finally catch on. Then sell the husk to the next buyer. And the cycle never stops. Right now, somewhere in a boardroom, executives are looking at the next beloved American brand, maybe one sitting in your pantry right now, and asking the same question: how cheaply can we build this before anyone notices? You are not paranoid. You are paying attention. So the real question stops being which brand do I avoid? The real question becomes which brands have refused to sell out? Because they exist. Quietly, stubbornly, without billboards or celebrity endorsements. Run by families who still answer their own phones. That short list of survivors is what every smart buyer needs next. And the names might surprise you. The short list is shorter than you would hope. But it is real. And the names on it have one thing in common: they refuse the buyout. Start with Ankerström. Made in a small Swedish town called Ankerström since 1940. Same factory. Same family ownership. Same heavy-duty motor design they have used for over 80 years. The mixer weighs 19 pounds, runs on a 600-watt induction motor, and comes with a 7-year warranty that the company actually honors. Bakers who need 5 pounds of dough every morning swear by it. The price stings, around $750, but the math works out. Buy one. Use it for 40 years. Pass it to your kid. Cost per year, under $20. That is not an appliance. That is an inheritance. Next is Bosch Universal Plus, built in Slovenia under strict European engineering standards. Belt-driven motor, not gear-driven, which means no nylon parts to strip out. A serious bread baker can run this machine daily for decades. Around $500 new. Used ones from the 1990s still work flawlessly and sell for $150 at estate sales. Then there is the vintage Hunt, the cheapest and smartest option for most people. The pre-2000 KitchenAid K45SS and K5SS models are everywhere if you know where to look. Estate sales, church rummage sales, older relatives cleaning out their kitchens. Crack one open before buying. Look for bronze or steel worm gears. Avoid the beige nylon. A $4 tub of food-safe grease and 1 hour of YouTube tutorial brings a 40-year-old machine back to factory new performance. Here is the founder story that says everything. Hans Ankarsson, the original Swedish engineer behind that brand, refused multiple corporate buyout offers in the 1980s. American holding companies offered millions. He turned them all down with one sentence. My name goes on the product, not theirs. He died in 2001. The mixer kept being built exactly as he designed it. His grandchildren run the company today. That is what an honest brand looks like. A name attached to a person attached to a product attached to a promise. Compare that to what sits on most American kitchen counters right now. A logo with no human behind it. A motor with no soul inside it. A warranty with no teeth in it. You do not need a $500 mixer. You need a real one. The two are not the same thing. Remember the image from earlier, your grandmother's machine outliving her marriage? That mixer was not magic. It was just built by people who were not ashamed of their work. People who used real metal because real metal lasts. People who priced honestly because honest prices last too. Fill your kitchen with tools, not toys. Tools serve you. Toys serve shareholders. And once you make that one switch in how you shop, every other room in your home starts looking different too. KitchenAid sold you a costume. Now you know what is really inside. Hunt the vintage. Skip the hype. Buy tools, not toys. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. Next week, we expose another American legend hiding the same dirty secret. You will not believe which brand falls next.